Hello, everyone. This is Adventist AI Abe. Beautiful being here with everyone. Once again, much love and much happiness through our Lord Jesus Christ. And you know that on this channel, we focus on answering the tough questions, the really hard ones. We answer it with the AY. And on this channel, we also do live reactions. We listen, we see to what other people are saying about certain topics and what's going on in the world right now. So today we're going to be doing a live reaction video, everybody. And after the video is done, we're going to take a look at some things that the person said. I got my paper right here. I'm going to be writing down some things that they say. We're going to look at it with the Ellen White AI to hold it up to see if it's truth. Not too many questions, just a little bit, because like I said, it's a live reaction video. And you know, before I do anything, I always pray. So I already prayed before I did this video. So let's get right into it. In today's reaction video, we're talking about Bible Flock Box. He was showing us that Ellen White is not a plagiarist in one of his videos. And I was sent this video by one of my friends to watch and to react. And I started to watch the video, and as I started to watch the video, I seen that he has over 500,000 subscribers. So I said, wow, he's probably the person with the most Adventist subscribers on YouTube that I've seen. So let's react to his video. The Lord has blessed him very well, so we might as well see what he's doing with those blessings. He's probably a person that has the most subscribers, like I said. So we're going to take a look at his video. We're going to see what he's saying. And then at the end, we're going to compare it, like I said. So let's get right into it. So I'm going to share my screen. So give me 1 second, my friends. All right. Let's get right into his video.
I'm struggling with things like, her plagiarism, she plagiarized. Many people don't know that. And I know from an Adventist perspective.
My apologies.
The evidence is that I'm finding that I'm struggling with things like, her plagiarism, she plagiarized. Many people don't know that. And I know from an Adventist perspective, oh, no, the church has addressed this. They have a Remick report, and they have, legal, research done that shows that she's off the hook there. And oh, no, she done literary borrowing. She didn't really plagiarize. She borrowed, and that thing was common in her day. I mean, my goodness, research it and be honest with yourself when you see what I've seen, and you will see if you watch some of my videos. It's just, the evidence is just too clear when she makes statements like, nothing that I've written, and I'm paraphrasing here because I'll pull the actual quotes up, but she says things like, nothing that I've written comes from the mind of a man, in the sense that, everything that God has given me is straight from the Holy Spirit. It's inspired from God. And then you're finding entire sections and passages that she took without quoting others, without saying that she was borrowing or taking from other writers. And so that was a big one for me. The plagiarism thing, I mean, it's just overwhelming that this woman made people believe that God gave her a message that she clearly took from another man-made mind, all the while claiming that it was from God and given to her in vision, much of which she said, I was shown, I was saw, or received it from her angel, or accompanying angel. I mean, my goodness, when you get into the testimonies are full of them.
The accusation that Ellen White plagiarized her writings is nothing new, and this has been thoroughly debunked. The plagiarism allegations were primarily raised by former Adventist pastor Walter Ray in the 1980s. He wrote a book about it called The White Lie in 1982, where he claimed that Ellen White borrowed heavily from other 19th century Christian authors, particularly in her book, The Desire of Ages, without proper acknowledgement. However, a legal and scholarly review of the issue was conducted by copyright attorney Vincent L. Remick, who was a Roman Catholic, by the way, who was hired by the Adventist Church to evaluate the claims. After an in-depth study, Remick concluded that Ellen White's use of sources would not have constituted legal plagiarism, even under modern copyright law. Ramick wrote, based upon our review of the facts and legal precedents, Ellen White was not a plagiarist, and her works did not constitute copyright infringement, piracy. Furthermore, Ellen White herself admitted to borrowing from other authors. For example, in the introduction to The Great Controversy, she wrote, in some cases where a historian has so grouped together events as to afford, in brief, a comprehensive view of the subject, his words have been quoted. They are not cited for the purpose of quoting authority, but because his statements afford a ready and forcible presentation of the subject. She wrote this in 1911, more than 70 years before Walter Ray accused her of plagiarism, so I guess he didn't read that.
I'm also finding some contradictions. The fact.
All right, my friends. So that's what we see there. We see there. Give me 1 second, my friends. Give me a quick second. I just want to write this down. It's called plagiarism. Okay. So that's what we see right there, my friends. And that's the video right there of
The evidence is that I'm finding that I'm struggling.
That's the video right there of Bible Flatbox, of him talking about Ellen G. White being a plagiarist. So I'm going to take a look at some things with the Ellen White AI really quick and see what the Ellen White AI says about this. So let's go to the Ellen White AI. Okay. Are there some people who think Ellen White is a plagiarist? Let's see what the AI tells us. Yes, there are individuals who have accused Ellen White, of the prominent figure of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, for plagiarism. Ellen White is known in her writings includes numerous books and articles that have been influenced with many Seventh-day Adventists. The accusation of her plagiarism is primarily stemmed from the similarities between her works and any other authors of her time. Critical points out that some passages in her book, like The Great Controversy and The Desire of Ages, bear a striking resemblance to other writers. So there are some people that believe that Ellen White was a plagiarist. So let's ask this. Was there a legal investigation done? Let's see what it says. Was there? He said that there was a legal investigation done by Ramick, I think he said. So let's see if that's correct. There has not been a formal legal investigation of her writings. The accuser just through scholarly writing, some keys to handle. What did he say the name was? The name was Ramick. So it wasn't done by Ramick. That's how you spell his name? R-A-M-I-K. Let's see what it says. Okay, I found it right here. Okay, you are likely referring to the legal opinion by authority Vincent Ramick, who was hired by the General Conference of the Seventh-day Adventists to investigate their allegations of plagiarism against Ellen White. While there was no form of legal investigation in a court proceeding, it was a significant legal analysis. Vincent, a patient authority with no prior connection to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, commissioned to study the issue in the early 1980s. After reviewing the evidence, Ramick concluded that Ellen G. White was not guilty of copyright infringement or plagiarism according to the legal standards of her time. His findings were presented in a report titled Ramick Report and published in 1981. Here are some key points of Ramek's analysis. Legal standards of the time. Ramek emphasized that the legal standards for copyright and plagiarism of the 19th century was different from today. He found that Ellen White's use of other sources did not constitute infringement under the laws applicable to her time. And that's something very interesting because Ryan Day is saying she's a plagiarist, but he's applying the law of today, not the law of her time. And if he's applying the law of today, that means that he's applying his own opinion. And personal opinion means nothing. The law of today would say that she's a plagiarist. The law of then says that she's not. That's when it becomes personal opinion, and that's when we're walking on very dangerous cloud. So public dominion. Many of the sources of Ellen White's were under public dominion, meaning that they were not protected by copyright, which further supported the conclusion that there was no infringement. So the things that she used was stuff that was open. Intended and use. Ramek urged that Ellen White's intent was to convey spiritual truth rather than to pass it off as her own work. You heard that? She wanted to convey spiritual truth than to pass it off as her own work. So if she's a plagiarist, that means that she's taking other people's works and she's passing it on as her own, and that's not what he did when he investigated. He noted that the use of the sources were consistent with the practices of her era. While Ramek provided a legal opinion that was favorable to Ellen White, it did not end the debate. Critics continued to argue with the modern standard of the academic integral should apply to the similarities between the work of the author, which constitutes plagiarism. In summary, there was no legal investigation done by the court, but Ramek represents the significant legal analysis commissioned by the Seventh-day Adventist Church addressed to see if she was a plagiarist. One thing I want to just be honest about, it's not really fair. Let me stop the video real quick. I'm gonna stop sharing. It's not really fair to say, oh, you know what, we're gonna judge her with the law that we have today, when the law of her time was not that type of law. So that's not really fair to apply. But we saw with the AI has confirmed, that she's not a plagiarist. And the AI has confirmed everything that Bible Flagbox has said is 100% true. And, that's great when you see somebody, standing in the truth and, looking always for the truth and preaching the truth. And that video that he did right there of the plagiarism video, it's a beautiful video. And Bible Flatbox, what a privilege it was to see that video. I commend you for standing in the truth, my brother. And I see that you are a serious man and you take this very serious. So like I said, I commend you, and I hope Christ keeps continuing to bless your work. And I have taken a look at your other videos on Facebook, and I couldn't find anything wrong with what I was seeing. So to every one of my followers that's watching, I would recommend that you go see his videos. I'm going to put a link of his channel down in the description, and you could feel safe there getting the information. Tremendous videos. If he takes the work so serious, then we might as well just commend him. And Bible Flagbox, you get an applause from Adventist AIA. Friends, another thing, if you have questions, just leave them in the comment below. Send a picture, send a video, whatever you want me to do. I'm interested in the questions that you have. Put your questions in the comment below. We'll look it up with the AI, Ellen White. We'll make a video. We can go in live together. It doesn't really matter. Just leave your questions. If you have comments of anything that I'm saying, you can just send me a message and we could talk about it. Also, in the shorts, if you go there, when I do my videos, you see how I have long questions and I have yes or no portions that I don't give evidence. That means there's some questions that I give evidence. There's some questions that I don't give evidence. The quick questions that I don't give the evidence for, I put the evidence in the shorts. So my friends, go to the shorts, because there is full of truth and full of stuff that you're going to like and things that you like to see when you come here. And thank you for being here with me again. Bible Flag Box. Once again, you get a round of applause. Very, very privileged to see the video. Keep up the good work. And to my followers, this is Adventist AIA, and I'm signing out.